And here we are. Oh, look at you, Mr. Outside.
I know, dude. I freaking love it. I want to stay out here all day, all the time.
Well, that's the most green I've
Just,
seen in California, like ever.
oh, dude, it's beautiful over here.
Every time I'm out in
Oh,
California, it's brown.
oh, dude, it's unreal here. Like it really is. We do it. It turns green for a little bit, like around this time after May, after all the rain, and then we get like a month of green, and then it'll go right back to brown.
It's very green here. It's very polleny here. I've had a sinus headache for about a week,
Oh,
and it is what it is.
I I am so happy that I don't have those issues.
I usually don't. Like this year's been unique and interesting, just like everything else in my life.
Fuck. Right?
So what's going on in your world, Matt?
Dude, just I think we're finally at the point where like pre-production is closing and I'm actually able to like get some stuff on screen and uh this week has been mostly focused on getting two players to see each other.
Oh, the great multiplayer.
Yeah, Unreal does some great things. I'm learning that some of it helps a little too much. They really want you to use like their tools, and I'm like, I have a custom server. Like, I don't need you to replicate for me. Just send the data to the server, and I'll handle it.
Right.
But it doesn't necessarily like that, so we're working through it.
Yeah, I've been kicking in the engine too, and Unreal's cool, man.
It really is.
I haven't touched Unreal since Unreal 3, maybe. That was the last time. It might even been earlier than that. And no, there's so much right. Like,
Oh yeah.
as a non-coder, like, I don't know if I'm ever gonna touch Unity again. Sorry, Unity, but like, this is like, I don't want to say it's easy mode because there are some things that Unity, just because I know it, I think, but there are some things that Unity does a little bit better. But again, I'd probably just because I'm familiar with that process. But
No, there's definitely some things like I mean it's the thing like this morning, right? Struggling with getting the bounding boxes
yeah, physics boxes. That's exactly what I was thinking about.
and like that is in Unity, it's literally drawing a box, or even simpler, like just telling it, hey, put a line around this character, and they'll just do it.
Yeah.
Unreal's a little more complicated, but
we'll figure it out.
it's not too bad.
I got it working good enough for prototype, so
Yeah,
all good.
yeah.
And yeah, man. Here, well, as long as we're talking about it, let me. We can have our first look at nothing really, but I'm playing around with a rooftop level idea for Fracture Point, and there it is. And so, like, this just works, right? And obviously, we're not going to have both style and blah blah blah. Just keeping it simple, as I kind of figure out the pathing and stuff. And I want to just see like what works when it comes to height and all that kind of stuff. But it's playable, sort of. It's like, hey, jump down. I'm Spider-Man. And this is what we were talking about with the bounding box, right? Like, I didn't do the bounding box on this one, right? So
Yeah.
I'm standing, 6 feet above the ground.
We will definitely be cleaning some of that up, but like it looks good. It plays good. You know what I love, man? Popping open Unreal and just having a character like minute one. That is so. Unity doesn't do this, and I wish they would.
Yeah, and like the whole base lighting model is it makes more sense, and you know, you could go super complex with reflectives and blah 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 blah, right? And probes and all that stuff. But like just to work, like, and a lot of time in Unity, I would work unlit, right? Because the lighting model was finicky. And so I would be building geo and then lighting. And this, like, there's another thing that we can't show you. Like, I was doing the lighting while I was building because it mattered with that particular project. And like, and it's real time and it works great. And like, it was super easy to change around. Yeah, no, I'm tickled pink with this engine. I'm going to learn it all.
I think that's what I enjoy the most is that it does just work. My time in Unity kind of taught me that the engine is what it is, and if something doesn't work, oh, there's a plugin, there's a community plugin for this. You need to go download this package. You need to go do this, and it's like you pop up in Unreal, and without any like extra plugins or shit, you can get something done.
Right.
I fucking love it, man.
So one of my pet peeves was always, sorry for deep talking shop here, but you would get like some plugin or materials from, you know, the asset store that you were just using for prototyping or whatever. And then you would have to spend like 45 minutes making it so like all the materials work, that they didn't just work. And that is so not true with Unreal. I literally dragged and dropped a folder over in today, and it just populated, and it was like, there's the materials you want, you can buy that. And, you know, and I can, you know, they might not be perfect, but they work. Right?
Well, for prototyping, they don't need to be perfect.
Right.
You know, when, and this is one of my biggest pet peeves of games, assets are not meant for production.
Right.
You go and get an asset pack. That is for hot prototyping. That is so you can slap something in and see effects happen. You can see a building. Great. Now go build that building, please. Like,
so like what you guys were just seeing, that's just a bunch of prefabs that I'm just playing around with to try to figure out the feel of Fracture Point, and like what can we get away with verticality, because if we go with the isometric camera, like, you know, verticality can become an issue.
Yep.
But I mean, I totally have this thing in my head of like, I want to jump rooftop to rooftop and be fucking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and you know, and it will totally do it, right? But it's like, what can I get away with at this point? So it's just exploration at this point. But when we get to building, I'll probably end up building most of it out of primitives and throwing materials on it, because A, that's the most performant, and it'll look just as good.
And when we talk primitives, we mean primitive shapes: squares, circles, triangles. Actually, triangles, no, just squares and circles, really. Cylinders.
Yeah, those are the
triangles are.
They can't. Yeah. They do have a. Hold on, I'll tell you right now. They have plane, cone, cylinder, sphere, cube.
Yeah, those are it.
Yeah, and you can build anything out of those.
Yep.
You might have to get creative. And then when things become a hero asset, like a bridge or something like that, that's where you go and you holler at an artist and you're like, make me a cool bridge that looks like this.
Right.
And they do that outside of the engine in some other thing.
Now, everything should be a cube wrapped in a material.
Yep.
Done with it.
Right. And with our art style, that makes it even easier. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Bisid.
So there's a top-down view. I took a screenshot of. So you can totally see, like, you know, you would, you know, start on the building on the left and then like jump down, and, you know, and then there's a little bridge that I put in that will start getting you into the rest of the level, and then like the higher levels on the right side, I was thinking like, we'll find some way to get up there eventually. It'll be like a secret area. So you know how levels are. It's like you're always kind of doing like an S path, kind of back and forth as you're going. with these type of isometric games. If we go with a different camera angle, which we have talked about, maybe, then it will change the way that the geometry of the level is. I'm thinking about in my head.
Yeah, I want to talk about why don't we just talk about that here? So I'm really thinking like over the shoulder third person could be the way to go. Nobody in the RPG space does it.
Yeah.
There's plenty of the Diablo clones out there that everything is from a million miles away.
Right.
Yeah. To me, we can create more immersive animations. We can get you kind of close to the combat if we're over the shoulder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the negative is we have to be more exacting with combat. It's not just
Right.
click the thing and have it get destroyed. There is some things there that do break.
You know what I was playing the other day? I was playing Ocarina of Time again,
mm-hmm.
and that camera angle is just so freaking good. And like camera controls were terrible, but like the way it was almost staring directly at the head, and then it would move around the character. I love that aesthetic so much.
What was I just playing? Oh, I was playing Battlefront 2 a couple of days ago.
Hell yeah.
And I'm old and slow. But they do this thing where obviously it's first person, and that's where the game is at its best. But you can pop it into third person, and what they do is third person left, third person right. So if you're a lefty or a righty, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, and it's exactly the same distance and everything. But I was like, that's a cool little feature.
Yeah, I like that in games. I was just playing Helldivers 2, and they have the same thing where you can switch over the left shoulder, over the right shoulder. That is just it's so nice for peeking, right?
Mm-hmm. I just finished Doom, and I highly recommend it to anybody who likes over the top shooters. It's it's a ballet of rip and tear, man. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it way more than I thought I was gonna.
Oh no, man! The later Dooms are great. I played Doom Eternal,
mm-hmm.
and I love it.
I'll start that one tonight. I kind of skipped them, like being the old school guy. I cut my teeth level building and back on the Doom engine. And so to me, it was like, what do you mean they're making a new Dune? Like, there's no Carmack, there's no Romero. Like, come on, man, right? But you know what? They kind of nailed it.
Hell, there's no Doom engine anymore. That's 100% an Unreal project.
No, it's id Tech 8.
Oh, they brought back id Tech, huh?
It's id Tech 8. The optimization of that engine, obviously, it's built to do one thing, right?
Yeah.
But like load times on that game are insane, and there is no frame drop ever. I mean, it's like whoever optimized that engine, I bow to you, man. Like, unbelievable. Because there's a lot going on. It's all ray traced.
Oh yeah.
So I don't think you can run it on a computer if you don't have a 4000 series or above.
Purpose built, man. There's something to be said for purpose built engines.
They actually put in a bunch of rules that I usually hate in games. That in this game it's so fast moving and there's so much going on, I just didn't care. They do put in some invisible walls, like you just can't go there. And usually I hate that, but this game is like such an arcade run that
it's got to be a little bit,
right? Yeah,
it's got to be a little on rails.
Yeah,
it's been that way since the original.
Yeah. But yeah, good stuff. I highly recommend it. Go Everybody go out and buy it.
Yeah,
Spoiler.
I'll check it out once I get through, once I get sick of Helldivers, and then after Rematch comes out, because I'm
That's
hyped on that. The
that's next
betas,
month, isn't it?
yeah, and the beta is going on right now, and it is, for a soccer game, it is one of the best.
Better than Mario Strikers.
Yes, hands down, because the mechanics are better. The Everything feels better. It's so it's a soccer
That's my
game.
praise, man.
It's a soccer game that, if you break it down, it's a third person shooter.
Oh, really?
So you have mouse control over your aim, and you're running around with the ball. Yeah, it's a third person shooter. And once I figured that out, once I broke it down, it became infinitely better.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, like I love it. I love the style of it. I've never seen anything like it. Um, yeah, huge fan of those guys.
And if you're wondering, like, obviously we've been talking about doing a ARPG, and of course I've sat down and I've played a ton of ARPGs. But one of the things that I always do when I'm starting off in like pre-production of a game is not only do I look at that, but I look at a genre adjacent, right? So playing what's new with the FPS and what people are doing in that arena, third person, like Assassin's Creed Shadows, and so I always look around the space, and it's like, and then like, are some of the Doom mechanics, like, would that work in an ARPG?
Well,
And they would,
yeah,
and it would be really cool. But it's like, because look, we all copy and what other people are doing. It's just sort of what the space does, right? But I'm always like, I don't want to be Diablo. I know what Diablo does. I know what Path of Exile does, and those all work, right? Path of Exile has some great mechanics.
I love it.
And but like, what else is there? And like, I don't want to feel like Path of Exile. I want to feel like our own thing. And
yeah.
And so, like, yeah, one of the reasons I was looking at Doom was totally this locomotion style combat, and I'm like, this would actually be really cool. These dashes and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and it could work. It could not. I mean, that's the great thing about game design is, we'll try it out, and if it's like, wow, that feels really awesome, then we keep it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you talk about Doom specifically, I love I haven't played the new one, but from the old ones, the moment to moment, and that's sort of how the chaos of Fracture Point needs to feel.
Right.
It's that I'm constantly in danger, even if I don't think I am, even if there's nobody around, there's somebody around, right? There's combat right around the corner, and it's go go go. It's the feeling of the old school beat 'em ups, man. Go back to Turtles in Time or Streets of Rage 1 and 2, where it was like every screen was a problem that you had to solve. There was no screens where it was like just dead.
Right.
And the ARPG space, because it's a little bit slow, a little bit more mechanical, there's a lot of dead open air.
Mm-hmm.
And between levels, I want that, but when you're in level, moment to moment, man, let's make those fast paced. A lot of dodging mechanics, a lot of roll mechanics.
Right.
Yeah, let's push the speed of the game as far as we can go.
Right. And even like the isometric look, if we stick with that, there was some games very early on that attempted to basically use FPS controls with that view. There's a game that Raven did called Take No Prisoners. And there was a couple.
Yeah.
3 or 4 that were done. And I loved it, right? The game kind of bombed, right? I totally got what they were trying to do. It was early 3D, so like, there was a lot of camera problems and geometry getting in the way of gameplay and all that crap. But I was like, there's something there, right? And Old Raven played around with that view in multiple games, just like as mini games. And Duke Nukem 3D played around with it at one point with the cars, the little remote control cars and shit. And so like another one is like, oh, maybe we'll just, we do the third person thing, but we just yank that camera and throw it up top, right? Maybe that'll be something new and different. I don't know.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah,
really play with it all.
Yeah, I'm totally down with trying different camera angles, or I mean, giving a couple different presets. Finding 3 or 4 that feel good, and letting player decide.
Yep. But yeah, I have to admit that I'm also kind of thinking like the WASD mouse control might be the way to go here.
Yeah, man.
I'm reserving judgment.
Well, so I think that's what I'm leaning towards because it's what I'm comfortable with.
Yeah.
It also lends itself really easy to controller support.
Yep.
And I'm big on controller support.
I'm not, but I'll agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, well, for these style games, it makes sense if I can put. Yeah.
It's only for racing games.
You don't have a wheel? Come on.
I don't. Joey does. Joey's got a killer wheel.
Yeah. If you're gonna build racing,
and he drives it in automatic. I'm like, dude. Yeah. No, I don't have a wheel right now.
Yeah, we gotta.
I don't have a good joystick either.
I've actually gotten away from flight sticks. So I do have rudder pedals that I'll use, but I've gotten away from flight sticks and just use controller now.
Yeah, I worked on 2 flight sims, and so like trying to do the mouse and keyboard flying makes me mental. Like I was so used to, I had that good old Microsoft force feedback stick that they had. Oh,
yeah.
And I had the pedals and the rudder and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't gone back there yet. But there's not a flight sim out there that I really want to play. Right.
I mean, I love Microsoft Flight Simulator still. Like, it's great.
And and every time I boot it up, I just kind of fly around, the pyramids and cool.
I tend to simulate. I tend to go realistic flights, and I jump into the VATSIM, and like where people actually play flight controllers and stuff, and so I'm a nerd like that.
I'm not that nerd anymore. Not with civilian anyway.
Oh.
But I do like to launch from that crazy ass airport in Nepal.
Oh yeah. The one that starts at like 4,000 feet.
And it's a ramp.
Yeah.
Good. It's almost impossible to land at.
Why anyone uses that, I don't know.
I would love to fly out of there. Just once.
Well, you only get once because you'll die on the takeoff. So you'll get once. Yeah. Is there a flight sim that you would want to do? Like, is there a flight sim that you'd want to make?
There's a crazy ass flight sim that I would want to do. So back when we were working on Jane's Flight Combat, we had a lot of discussion because that was sort of like the end of the big flight sim era, right around 2000. And so like right before that was the F-117 game, and all those were still existing, but they were kind of dying out. And we were like, well, why are they dying out? What do gamers like? And what we found was gamers love to go through trenches. Gamers love to be close to the ground, right? Like that, because they understand it, right? Because they're not all flight sim junkies, right? So they need to see the deck. And so we pitched a game that was it was in the Hollow Earth. What? You there? Matt probably can't hear me right now, so I can say all sorts of things about him.
Yeah, I lost you for some reason. Hold on.
Anyway, while he's fixing his thing, um, we were going to do a flight sim that took place inside of the Hollow Earth. Basically, World War II never ended. It was just being a proxy war fought underneath the Earth, and the whole reason to do that was so we could put a floor and a ceiling, and still use prop planes instead of jets. You know, so you have that old dogfight World War II combat.
Yeah.
And where you have to dodge the stalagmites into stalactites and blah blah blah.
Dude, there's part of me wants to do a sim game. Part of me is scared to death of it because I know that I'm
a lot of work.
Yeah, like you can do it really cheaply and you can do an arcade version, and to me that just wouldn't be good enough, right? Like I want it to be an actual flight sim. Like let's get some actual speeds in there and see some real physics weight. But I will say that the Jane's Flight Combat, those are some of my favorite ones, man, from back in the day.
My favorite thing to do in the game that we were working on in Jane's Flight Combat, the World War II one, it didn't do too well. It was, again, kind of the end of the whole flight sim train. But boy, did we do a good bomb site. Like, there was nothing more fun in that game than to just, like, fly over and drop a shitload of bombs. We had the good concussion rings and, like, all that. Like, it was very, very disruptively pretty.
I remember, maybe it was you who told me, but, like, people started questioning if you had the actual plans to the bomb site.
No, and because the Norden bomb site is still it's still classified.
Yes, even though it hasn't been used in 50 years.
Yeah, we had to approximate it.
You guys got too close.
Yeah. Best guess. Yeah, it was surprising because when we were building that game, we were talking with former pilots and who flew these things, and there was still things about some of those old planes that were still hush hush secret, probably for no reason, right? Just nobody ever declassified it.
Yeah.
But the great thing about sim stuff is, like, you can do the historical missions and but then it's like you can do the really fun stuff. Like, I'm gonna take my F6U and fly it in Europe, right? I'm gonna put an aircraft carrier off the coast of England and see what happens. Right? And the mission builder was literally that easy. You could literally just go put the USS Enterprise here, and it will have you can land on it and all that. It was an impressive little engine that we had built, especially for the time. Yeah. But I'll say one last thing about that project was there was this crazy ass engineer. I'm working late, and I look over and he's like type, and then he would hit his joystick, and then he would type, and he was hitting his joystick. I go over, I'm like, James, like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm teaching the AI how to blow up boats. So he was literally doing learning AI in 1999. Like, this is how you do it, and then he would watch them do it, and he'd be like, no. Like, I was like, that was pretty amazing. They got really good at it, But game design, man.
When and that's something that is so funny about projects like this, and it happens even in just regular tech. You'll find one person who gets obsessed with the smallest little feature, where you're like, no, this has to be perfect. And all of a sudden, you'll see the one guy in the corner working till midnight on the smallest thing that nobody's going to notice. But for them, it's like the whole thing.
He always found that the hardest part with the AI back then was for them to make mistakes.
Yeah.
AI can be really good and precise, but they have to make a mistake like a human. And it has to feel like that. And like like if you're fighting and dogfighting, like they have to, most dogfights end because somebody fucks up. right? And so they like turn the wrong way, or they they go for altitude or whatever, and like the AI has to understand that, like, okay, it's my turn to fuck up.
Yeah,
Right?
you gotta give it some randomization or some slop, right?
Some
And you
flop.
see this. The best place you see this is shooters.
Yep.
Poorly coded AI will headshot you every time because they
Every
can't
time.
miss.
Yep.
They're triggered to find the head.
Yep.
So it's like there's some really bad shooters that are pretty famous now because the games are impossible to play.
Yep. Yep.
If the AI sees you, it will target you and headshot every time. And it's like,
Yeah, and we ran into the same thing on Thief with like the whole idea that AI is that it can't it's always looking for you.
yeah,
Right. And so like there's this band that it's like, intentionally stupid, right?
yeah,
And like our joke always was is like, these are men at arms. These are the guys that are getting paid $5 an hour. Right. Like, so it's like it's totally okay for them to be like that. And then you make the harder enemies better at it, right? But
yeah.
it's like your average man at arms should be like he's a fucking mall cop, right?
It's really interesting, and probably something that someone who hasn't worked in this space before. It is so much easier to make AI perfect than it is to have it fuck up at any level. Like
Yep.
even taking a small percentage off is really hard for it to do.
Yep. Yep. That and pathing.
Pathing.
Although it looks like pathing in Unreal is going to be really quite easy. So.
Yeah, I mean, so you just drop down the nav mesh and it just works, and then you add the collision around the objects you don't want it to find, and then give it a to B point, and it'll just like patrol. You can set that up in 20-30 minutes. They solved a lot of the problems. Back to Unreal being amazing. Yeah. They've solved a lot of those problems.
Even their bots back in Unreal Tournament were great, right?
Yeah.
So I guess it should be no shock. It's probably essentially the same system. It's probably just a node path, right?
Mm-hmm. It is.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You can give it up to like, I think 50 or 60 points and just say, hey, patrol this area. And it'll just go do.
It's a good old
day. So I do have a dream. I have a dream one day to write my own game engine and build a game out of it. But then I look at it and go, why?
Yeah. If I was doing, again, if you're talking infinite money, infinite time, if I was doing an MMO, there's so much that an MMO has to do that I'd probably build my own engine.
Yeah.
Because then you can really hyper focus into things that are important for your game and not all the extraneous.
Yeah, then you're not, because that's sort of where Unreal can fall apart because it was built to be a shooter. Yep. The engine, when you have things in the system, they're called actors and pawns, and they use all the shooter terminology.
Yep.
So it's like when you talk about like building an MMO in there, I could totally see where some optimization probably needed. I might honestly not even build a true engine and just write it in the actual game code.
Right.
Solve that problem in one place rather than trying to build an engine around it. But
the only thing I've heard about Unreal when it's like when you start deviating off to other things is that it can like fight you on it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I look at like I've always wondered why like XCOM 2 like load times are insane. It's just unreal.
Yeah.
Right? Like what under the covers, like what is the hold up on that? Right? It's because it's not graphics, right?
No.
And it's like, is it because they basically had to be like all of our stuff is over here? Not
really. all the logic probably.
Yeah.
And I know earlier versions of Unreal weren't as good, so we're probably talking. When did XCOM come out?
That's got to be 8 years ago now.
Yeah, so you're talking about a very unoptimized version.
Right.
They've gotten so much better between 4 and 5 that
Yeah, I mean, I have Unreal running right now in the background of this call.
yeah.
It's not hurting my machine at all. I couldn't do
No.
I couldn't do this with Unity, frankly. Unity would be like, I'm choking.
Yeah. How can you train pathing so that the path yet it can decide? So this is where you use there's sort of some AI logic you can add there where it's like, yes, follow the node path, but you still have some free reign. And this is where again it comes down to basically having slop built in. Let it fuck up. It can't be perfect on the path all the time.
Right.
Unless that's the game you're going for. You know, that's the Dark Souls games. Everything is perfect to the path because you want to memorize movement and weapon path and weapon choices and move choices. That's part of the game. But in something like this, you might want it just to be a little more random.
Right.
Add some entropy to the system.
Right, and if you sat down and watched, hung out on a roof and watched the AI and shadows, they 80% of the time take the same path.
Yep.
But part of the fun of a stealth game is that, they do the unexpected every once in a while.
Yeah.
Not all the time. So you're like, I'm pretty sure he's going to end up here, and then of course you jump down and he's like staring you in the face.
Yep.
But that's that slop that we're talking about. Is that sometimes they're gonna go, I'm gonna take path number 2. I'm gonna take path number 3. And that's just setting it up.
Yeah, and that's the whole part of level design and concept. That's the fun part, right? Because otherwise, like, it's not that fun of work. It's a lot of just like drawing boxes and pointing arrows.
Right.
Random spawn.
One of the other styles that people use fairly often now is there's an AI that controls the AI. Right, well, they call it like the director, right? The first to do it was Left 4 Dead.
Yes.
And so the AI is actually going, oh, the players are doing this, and I think they're moving too slow, so I'm going to spawn in a bunch of monsters behind them, right?
Yeah.
And kind of push them forward, or and that AI, I was always convinced that AI was like a petulant 3-year-old, because
oh yeah,
it would be like, oh, you're getting your ass kicked, well, here's some more. But it's actually, if you ever watch a video of the Left 4 Dead AI, like from behind the scenes, it's actually really fascinating how it controls everything.
Well, that was one of the first games that I saw where they gave the enemy the desire to win.
Yeah.
Like no other games do that. Like even modern games. You take Elden Ring. The enemy NPCs don't care if they win.
Yeah, no, they wanted to eat you.
But you put that director AI in there, they wanted to win.
Yeah.
And so they would make moves, calculated risks to try and win.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful system.
If you play Left 4 Dead 2 on realism, how can a zombie game be realistic? But if you play it on the realism mode, is the AI is absolutely brutal. And it is. It's trying to win the game. It's trying its best to stop you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we'll pull out all, and it has its rules it has to follow. Like the spawn times are the same as they are in multiplayer, like in versus mode. All that is all the same. But there are times that it's just going to be like, here's all the bad guys, including a tank and a witch. Why not? Just throw it all in. Random spawn point. Yeah, well, that's what the director does, right? It's like every place is a spawn point. Every place is a spawn point that is not in vision of the player right. It's always stage left, right? It's off the stage left. And
that was the other cool thing. It was like you couldn't really spawn camp mobs. You didn't know where they were going to come in. They'd come in from the left side. it's definitely something I want to look at for Fracture Point more than the other thing. But
No, we don't do it for the other thing.
I do want to.
We can't talk about
other
it.
than. But I definitely do want to explore the idea that we have a an evil dungeon master, I guess would be the best way to put it. Like a dungeon master that really doesn't want the players to win.
Big fan.
Yeah.
Big fan. Yeah, I was always surprised that nobody's done like the dungeon crawl game with a dungeon master like that type of AI with who also has a narrative. There's like, and then the bugbears showed up. Right? Clue, like a personal clue, yes.
Exactly. My buddy always had this dream of making a game where you actually played as the boss of the minions.
Oh yeah, me too, man.
And
Absolutely.
so the hero party was the AI, so, and that gave that sort of adversarial.
That's what Dungeon Keeper was supposed to be, and they couldn't do it back in the day. But that was the original design, was like make your dungeon protect it from the good guys.
Yeah.
Game 6. I think we're up to 6 now.
Easily.
Right. So, you have any questions from our fans here?
See. Will there be a bomb weapon in game?
Of course.
Yeah, I think explosive projectiles is a must. If anything, just for area denial, right? Where you can say this, you are not coming past this.
If you know me, that's like how I solve problems in games. Yes, there'll be bombs. Games do one thing really, really well, and that's blow shit up. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And voxels do that even better.
Yeah.
So, yes, destructibility will be a key facet.
And will we have a lantern like a skull bomb? Playing with light and effects, I don't know. We have to really look at lighting. We need a serious look dev before we decide if there's going to be a dark level.
Yeah, if we do a dark level, it'll be a novelty. I mean, Unreal can do it easily, right? Just player has a point light kind of thing. I think for the kind of gameplay we're going for, it will be really challenging to have that limited light source.
Yeah, this is not a dark and spooky game. This is
I mean, it could be fun for a level, but you wouldn't want to use it all the time.
Yeah. We're building a game for move fast and kick ass, not so much of the dark and sneaky.
Right.
Any other thoughts, ideas, questions?
You want to talk about the sales stuff at all?
Help support us. Keep buying. Every single cent is going towards paying our team as much as we can, and getting some funding for hosting. None of it's going towards anything else. That's we need some help in that area. So every single dollar helps.
All right. Well, I got nothing else. I want to get back to building.
Yeah, I got nothing else. Next week, I'm hoping to have some other people on the team join us. probably get Elliot in here, and maybe I'll get one of the juniors that we just brought on. Want to see what they do on camera.
So they got to get me coffee, man. That's what they got to
Let,
do. I know it's a 3,000-mile trip, but
yeah,
there are rules there.
One lives 10 minutes north of me, and one lives 10 minutes south of me. So someone's got to bring me some coffee.
Yeah. That's
10
that's
minutes.
not fair.
Yeah, well, you know. So yeah, guys, I think that's it for this one. Thanks for hanging out.
All right. Talk to you next week. See you on Discord. Come hang out with us. You will notice sometimes at night, like as I'm doing, because I usually do my research at night, that I've been starting a live stream on one of the channels. So if you tuned in last night, I don't know if anybody watched last night, but I would have totally ruined the end of Doom for everybody last night. I didn't realize I was that far into the game, but yeah, you know, it's like if I see that there are people in there, I will talk about like what the hell I'm looking at and you know, that kind of stuff.
Actually, that leads me to another idea. I want to do like a Tuesday just general game dev AMA. It's actually something that Hutch brought up to me. It's like not many people do it in this space, so it might be fun for one of us or both of us or three of us to jump in and just answer general game dev questions.
Cool.
You know, we can turn ourselves into the people who know things in this space.
All simple tricks and bullshit, man.
That's the magic. Like it really is though, and part of it, I was talking to somebody last night, and they were kind of like, okay, well, where do I get started? And I was like, just get started. Like, go grab a tutorial and make the tutorial game. Like, follow the instructions, and as you go, you will find out things that you like, things that you don't like, things you can change, what you can't change.
And don't be afraid of mistakes. We all make them. Like, I think that's like if I was going to tell young Chris anything, that's what I would tell him is like, just jump in and make a wonderful mess. I said this to you a year and a half ago when we were starting to bring people over that have never made games before.
Yeah.
It was like, they're competent. They're very competent programmers and all that, but it's like, there's going to be a beautiful mess, and that's perfectly fine.
Yep.
You know, it's like when you're starting into something new, it's like, just there's no failure, right? It might not work, but you know, you're still learning, right?
Shit.
And yeah, I mean, I break things every day, man.
If I gave up on everything I broke, oh man.
Jesus. Yeah. Game design's like baseball. It is there to humble you. And,
and you're only right 30% of the time.
Right. Pretty
perfect. You know what? If you're batting 300, you're pretty damn good.
Yep.
Right.
You know, I think one of the things that it's one of those places, just like every profession is, that there's a lot of knowledge that you just accrue over time.
Yeah.
And, you know, and part of my job has always been like, you know, taking those people's ideas and then breaking them down and seeing if they're actually viable. You know, and, you know, like, do you need to simulate every, you know, every single thing on the screen? No. You need to simulate the things that are going to interact with each other.
Yeah.
But, you know, your initial reaction sometimes when you're starting out is like, everything needs physics. And it's like, no, it really doesn't.
Nope.
And,
unless you want to cook your computer.
Right. Yeah. It's like you become very aware of the limitations of hardware, even still. But, you know, there's still like, there's all very tried and true ways of getting around all these problems at this point.
Put colliders on individual blades of grass and see what happens.
Oh, please don't. Please don't. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
All right, folks.
Dude. I'm not sharing with the world. All right. We'll
All right,
talk
folks.
next week.
Yeah, we'll talk.
Peace.
See ya.